after, all of my dreams and
Mhm.
goals that I feel like I can attain while I'm here.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah, yeah,
love that. Sometimes you
yeah.
gotta move
Come
away.
on, even if it's to someplace random.
Okay. But Utah is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It
Yes.
is. It is.
So I want to talk about, because both of us can
Mm-hmm.
relate. We just gonna go and get to it.
Yeah, yeah.
We both lost our mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I know for me that it has been like a up and down journey of being able to navigate that.
Yeah.
And I would say that this life is not just about losing or grieving a person. You can
Mm-hmm.
grieve a
Oh,
place or a thing,
that's good.
and I think that grief is something that we can never escape.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we cannot run away
Yeah.
from. Because even if you run away from grief, you're gonna grieve running away from it. So I think it's something. It's a subject. It's very touchy sometimes, but it's a subject that we have to talk about because I feel like a lot of us are stuck
Yeah.
in life because we don't know how to navigate grief, and we don't know who to turn to. We feel alone,
Mm-hmm.
and especially I know men feel alone a lot of times because they're not always given the opportunity to
Right.
grieve, and it looks healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it looks as though they're weak,
Yeah.
So can you just talk about like what that process, as far as like being able to navigate grief of losing your mother, and actually what that looked like for you in a sense of getting to a healthier
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
of that grief?
Yeah, so it was very, so for those of you who don't know, I lost my mom 6 years ago this month. So it was
Oh
very
wow.
interesting that you even reached out to me. I always believe there
Wow.
is
Look
no
at
coincidence.
that.
Right, right. And so that I get here, I am 6 years later on a platform sharing my process. Almost her anniversary is on the 19th. Um,
That's my birthday.
see,
Really?
that, yeah, it's the 19th. That's crazy.
Wow, Chris,
So
I never knew that.
exactly. So I mean, it to me, I didn't know that was your birthday. So to me, I accepted immediately because I know this is something that I know and that I'm really passionate about sharing with other people. Because I felt like there's really no right way, but there's a better way to do it.
Yes.
Um, and I feel like for me, um, one of the things that I did as I navigated is I didn't run from it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely a twilight zone. My mom was 54. We were like this, right? And just realizing that even looking at the birds and the sky and the track, everything looked different. It was like I
Mm-hmm.
was in a whole new world. Um, but what I learned soon after I kind of like got out of the slump, or like one of those moments when you came up for air, when you kind of were okay for a few minutes, was that I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
And I know that that's how my mom would want it. It's kind of like, son, keep going. You've got so much to do. And so, I don't know. It's just I was able to really reflect on those words that she always shared with me. And one thing that I really have never shared before is that in the hospital when my mom passed, as soon as the doctors told us, I was in the lobby and I was walking towards the stairs, going downstairs in the Baton Rouge General, and I heard, "You have been well equipped."
Mm-hmm.
And so that was nothing but a confirmation because I know it had to be like God, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so what I did was I just kept moving. I kept going. And I didn't run from it while I was doing it because that's unhealthy, just to act like
Yeah.
it's not there.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing that I did, as I like just navigating through like business or just life in general, was that I just didn't care how other people felt.
Yeah.
Because this was my relationship. This is my mom. Nobody else but my immediate family. I mean, her extended family definitely felt the loss. Her mom and dad and stepdad and stuff like that, and brother and stuff. But like immediate family living in that house with her, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just
Mm-hmm.
different. This was my mom, and so nobody could tell me how to respond, how to act.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, One thing that I did do, and I know I'm kind of just flowing
No,
at this
go
point.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
One
go
of the
ahead.
things that I did is that I released my friends from walking on eggshells around
Yes.
me. I I want you to talk about your mothers. I want
Mm-hmm.
you to talk about what y'all did for Mother's Day. That does not bother me at all.
Mm-hmm.
It actually makes me happy to know that the people around me are enjoying their mothers. And so there's no way for them to know that without me sharing that.
Yes,
So
yes,
you
yes.
don't have to walk on eggshells around me. No, what were you
Mm-hmm.
gonna say? Like I called it out.
Yeah.
Um, because they were trying to be considerate of me because people don't know what to do. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, so those are some of the ways I just kind of directly went head on. And I was like, I've got to face this because this is real and this is a reality. Um, and however I need to do that is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So you talked about like three different things that I wanted to touch on. I think I was trying to remember in my
no, you
head,
good.
but I'm gonna do the one that I remember the most is like releasing your friends.
Hmm.
That was part of my journey too,
Hmm.
and releasing my friends because I feel like sometimes when you are going through something, you expect for people to read your mind
Hmm.
sometimes as far as like where you at on that journey,
Yeah.
and they can't, and because they love you, they want to be considerate of your feelings and your emotions,
Yeah.
so they're like, I don't know what I could say,
Yeah.
but it's very important while you're on the journey of grieving, to communicate
Hmm.
to the loved ones that's doing life with you,
Yeah.
because that helps them to find out and identify what you need, what you actually
Yeah.
need. And so, like, even for me, I had one friend, like, there would be times where I just randomly would think about my mom and I would just start, I miss my
Yeah.
mom today. It wasn't in an unhealthy way. I would just mention
Yeah.
her. Like, I missed her today. And every time, like, I know she didn't try, but she would find a way to navigate from this conversation. And one day I was like, friend, you're
It's okay.
you ignoring what I'm actually saying. I
Right.
know it's random,
Yeah.
but I could talk about
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm not in that place of when she
Hmm.
passed. Like, that's not where I'm at on my journey. I'm on the
Yeah.
other side where I'm learning how to live with
Yeah.
it, right? And accept it. So I had to communicate that to her. And once I communicated that to her, she felt a sense of relief
Yeah.
because she then knew what I needed from
Hmm.
her. So I was like, in those moments, all I need is just a listening
Yeah.
ear, or sometimes I just want to say it because I haven't said
Yeah.
it, because you're going through life. You may not say, oh, I miss my
Yeah.
mom. So it really is important as the person who's grieving for you to do your part
Yeah.
and communicate what you need and what that looks like for the people that's around
Yeah.
you, because a lot of time people get selfish in grief, and I understand it, but there's a healthy way of grieving,
Hmm.
and the unhealthy way is to think that people should read your mind.
Hmm.
If,
Yeah.
and they just simply
Yeah.
can't. And so you have to just do your part in finding a way to communicate to them. And then it was something else you said, and I was like, man, that is so good, because dang, what it was, Chris?
I don't know. I can't read your mind, friend.
No, you was going at it. I think it was the point of, your
Oh
business,
yeah.
like, so that was my question. You have to keep going,
Hmm.
right? But how do you do that when you are an entrepreneur? So, and you have a high demand business where you have to interact with customers all the time.
Hmm.
I know it's been times I've been doing people hair and behind them I'm
Yeah.
crying. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had to learn how to be what people need in a moment, and understand that if I needed to release something, that I was okay with doing it. And they never even knew. So how did you um go through that process of like grieving while you were working? Because it was hard for
Man.
me.
So, well, one, I'm glad you brought that up. Because I think you got your own answer, and that's communicate.
Mm,
Because I'm big on communication. That's what my background is in, for as far as schooling. But if your client, I didn't have face-to-face clients all the time like you would have.
mm-hmm.
So I was able to kind of just, put on what I
Okay.
needed to put on.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew. my clients knew because more than likely they followed me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So they knew about what was happening. And most times reached out to me. And I think just communicating, being open and honest and saying, hey, going through a lot, but I'm so glad to see you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I start to break down, it ain't got nothing to do with you. You know, I'm like, you know, just be real about what's happening. And assure your client that you're still about to get the best service. I just might have to take a 2-second break real quick. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I think when, you know, doing weddings and stuff, what happens at a wedding? Traditionally, right? You have your mother-son dance. And in 2019, 2020, I only had one wedding in 2020 before the pandemic, but going into late 21, 22, it was still hard because it was fresh. I remember weddings in 19 used to eat me alive during that time. But what I would do was I would make sure that everybody was in place and I would kind of just disappear. I did have one of my team members and friends, Tara, who had also experienced loss years previous. She would just kind of check on me from time to time because she had been through loss. She was able to notice at certain points. Yeah, you know, and so I always appreciated that.
We need people like that.
Yeah, so I don't have to explain a lot, you know.
Yeah.
But overall, I think for me, it was my mom helped me start my business, so she was all in and throughout it, and so it was just very. I knew like I said, I just had to keep going, and I just could hear little things of like, son, you got things to do. You got things to do. Keep pushing, keep pushing.
Yeah.
And so I use the encouragement of like, and it's kind of cliche, but like, what would they want for you?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't want you to just sit around and, you know, whatever. So much so I thought about it to where right after she passed, a bride who later became my, one of my team members, and her husband became Frat. Their wedding was in March of 2019 before my mom's funeral, like a few days or so before my mom's funeral. And they didn't expect me to come. But some event industry friends took over for me. And I was like, I cannot not show up to this wedding. So I put on my clothes and I showed up, and everybody was shocked. But I needed that. I needed to keep going because what else was I going to do besides lay in the house where everything reminded me of her, and you know what I'm saying? Just kind of wallow. I could really be out there creating joy, and being a part of somebody's happy moment. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, and I think it's important. Like for me, it's really important that I found the beauty in grieving.
Yeah. Because
so many times it has this negative perspective, and that's all we hear about. But we don't hear about the beautiful side, what it teaches us, right? It teaches you how to be grateful, to have gratitude, to be thankful for the people around you. It teaches you how to love properly, okay? Yeah. It teaches you how to show appreciation to the people around you and for the things that you have. Yeah. So there's a lesson in grief. Yeah. And you have to go through that lesson. That's why I feel like it's something that none of us would be able to escape because there's a lesson in it. Yeah. And the more we embrace that there's a lesson, the better that it feels, right? But I also understand that we're not all on that journey of being able to embrace it. Yeah. So think back to that feeling and that when that feeling of emotions happened for you, how did you practically, like, steps that you pulled yourself out of it? Because you know where we are now is on the other side, like I say. Yeah. But I also want to relate to the people who may be currently experiencing some type of loss. Yeah. Whether it's their relationship, work, or whatever. But like, what are some practical steps that you did to like get you on that step of moving forward to keep going? Yeah.
I got up one.
Okay.
I had to force myself to get up. it really helps to have good friends who are going to check in on you and stuff. And one of my friends, I don't know, she probably doesn't mind me sharing this. Her name is Tarkisha. She checked in on me every day for months.
Wow.
For months. And I like it. It really encouraged me. That was part of the encouragement to get up, because while I did lose one of the biggest loves and people in my life, I have life to live. You know, it would be a disappointment or a disservice to all the things that she put in me if I didn't give it to the world. So my first step was to get up, and that means get out of bed, get out of the house, go do something,
be sociable.
Yeah, do something. The next thing was to like I said, be honest and acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Right.
Accepting.
Acknowledge it, because one of the things that we like to do is, especially in the Black culture, is we like to deny. We don't want to talk about it. Don't bring the name up because I may cry. That's what you need to do.
Yes.
That's what you need to do. Because once you cry, you won't cry forever. I guarantee you, you're going to cry for a moment or 2 moments, and then your body's going to change. That grief is going to come in and it's going to come out, right? And then you're going to, there's a laugh that may be coming. I know I used to feel guilty for laughing.
Me too.
Because why am I happy during this moment?
This is not a happy moment, Keisha.
What could I be laughing at, right? But it's okay. It's okay. And you have to give yourself grace and forgive yourself for even thinking that you're offending that loved one or that situation, that relationship, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? It's okay, because I was watching a sermon, and this is when you're kind of far in the grief process too. And I'm gonna get back to what you actually asked me, but it was like I was watching a sermon that was talking about necessary endings, right? And so while I don't think in my heart that my mom's passing was necessary at all, the result of it was growth and a lot of me branching out into different places that I otherwise wouldn't have done, because I wouldn't have wanted to leave my mom or go that far from my mom. So that's the beauty in it, right? So it's kind of like get up, acknowledge it, and then I would probably say, just like, don't be afraid to talk about it in those positive moments or in any moments at all. Don't be afraid to talk about that loved one or that relationship. Crack a joke if it, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, my mom used to say this, or, you sound just like, you know what I'm saying? I never hesitated to say that. Because it gives you a sense of normalcy. Right? And then you have to, I can give you those 3 steps, but then after that, you got to kind of find your own way of what works. Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree with all 3 of those, because I remember, like, for a long time, my body tried to reject my reality. And you will find yourself sick, like literally trying to reject that feeling of emotions. I was literally like, so for me, that looked like I would find like a safe space in my house. And that would be the space where I would release what I was feeling. And I remember just holding back so much to one day I just had to just release it. So it's like the more you hold back, it's like we also like prolong the process of acceptance, right? And acceptance is really important when grief happens, because the quicker you accept it, the journey happens where you could begin to see the beauty. But I just agree with what you're saying, like getting up, and I had to choose that. Like, and sometimes I couldn't choose it for myself. I had people around me that chose it for me. Like my friend would take me to like just randomly say, hey, you want to go here? Or you want to do this? And not even ask any questions, but they can sense my energy or my spirit is off. And they're able to come in and say, hey, do you want to go do this? And we ain't even got to even talk about it. But the fact that they're just pulling me out of my own head and my own space helped me to be able to get up. you
Yeah.
know. So I think it's really important when you're in that beginner stage is to choose to get up. And if you can't choose to get up all the time, find some people around you and say, hey, when I feel down, going back to that communication, when I
Mhm.
feel down and I'm thinking about my mom, or you feel my energy's off, just pull me out of the environment. I like to go, I don't know, take a walk,
Yeah.
you know? And I would also say that was also part of it. I had to find out what my coping mechanisms would be, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, I can't sit in my house all day.
Yeah.
Baby, the nights will be off, I'll be in here
Yeah.
depressed. So I had to get
Yeah.
sunlight.
Yeah.
I had to go out. I had to, baby, I was at somebody's spot,
Mhm.
okay? And that is where I cleared my mind.
Yeah.
And I was able to think properly because I'm a social butterfly. I like to talk to people.
Mhm.
So even though I may have had everything going on in my life, I don't want to hear about somebody else's
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
You know, so that helped me to be out of this space to get into a space where I feel
Yeah.
normal, you know, and it gave me a sense of normalcy. So it really was important for me to kind of like
Mhm.
communicate, get a choose it,
Yeah.
accept it, you know, and it's not easy,
No.
you know. We making it seem
No, it's
easy, but it's not
work.
easy.
It's
It's so much work.
it is very much so work, and everybody expresses their grief differently.
Yes,
So don't think this is like the blueprint for it all. But these
there
are
is no
things that
blueprint.
yeah, this is the things that help me. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, "Oh, I'm private. I don't get on social media and talk about it." Okay, that's fine. However, I know that when I post about my mom, it's because I need to. It's
Yes.
because I don't care what y'all think. Y'all can actually block me, unfriend me, whatever it is you want to do. And I'm knowing that she's not seeing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
am in reality. However, this is my creative expression. And this is
Yes.
how I am paying honor and tribute to my
Yeah.
mom. And the blessing, the thing that makes me a little bit emotional about that, the blessing in that has been that I've had Facebook friends who have lost their parents over the years,
Mhm.
who we may have been close or not close, but they followed my experience because I posted about it, right?
Yes.
And it wasn't to be like, oh, woe is me. It literally was a thing between me and my mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and when they when since they've lost their parent, they've had conversations with me. Even if we're walking downtown on Third Street, I'm in Baton Rouge. Hey, Chris, I followed I saw you when you were going through, and I just, everybody was feeling different emotions from it. But now that they're going through it, it's kind of like they have, for lack of better
Mhm.
words, I know it's not a blueprint, but they know kind of how to, they're okay to express themselves,
Yeah.
because society can make us feel like, oh, you doing too much. No, forget
Mhm.
you. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
ain't really what I wanted to say.
Absolutely.
But
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? It's just like, express yourself however you need to.
Mhm.
Make tribute however you need to. I used to get up and go to my mom's gravesite at all. It didn't matter what time, right? Now that wasn't the safest thing to do because it wasn't always like daytime.
Mhm.
Um, but I also know that um, over time, I needed to do that, and so now I'm better. I don't have to go there. I don't feel guilty every time I drive past the gravesite and don't stop. You know,
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
feel guilty about certain things because I know I'm getting better. I'm learning to cope. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe I did that Facebook post. I feel like I've honored her. I don't need to
Yeah.
necessarily sit in front of the grave. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
think that is so good though, because for me, my journey was a little different as far as like contributing to her passing. Like I wasn't big on posting.
Mm-hmm.
I would post when I felt it. So I'm with you when I post something about my mom, it's because I want
Yeah.
to, and
Yeah.
I don't care about nobody else.
Exactly.
But it was for me, I may have not posted about it, but I encountered other people who may have been going through what I was going through. And my way of connecting with her and showing my respects to
Mhm.
her was to uplift someone
Yeah.
else, right? And it just helped me to just find that sense of relief through helping someone else.
Yeah.
And so also you were talking about just to go to this part, I remember what you was talking about earlier.
Okay, go ahead.
You was talking about how you would be like mad that you happy in a moment.
Yeah.
And I remember I was the same way. Like I used to beat myself up for being happy and enjoying life. And it was like, you got to. Like you're supposed to, but that is a normal feeling that you feel when you grieve, especially a parent. I feel like a parent is like a different type of grief, or somebody who's been covering you for years, your guardian. Like it's a different type of grief because it's like, and then a mother, it's like that nurturing that you lose. That
I was a mama's boy.
Spirit. Like, that nurturing spirit, you be like, man, I want to call my mama.
Yeah.
But, you know, I remember having that same emotion of, man, I cannot be happy right now.
Yeah.
And I would find myself being angry for no reason.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's not what my mom wanted.
Yeah.
My mom loved to dance. And, like, I remember for my birthday, like, the year... Like, so she passed in December of 2022, and my birthday of 2023, I just wanted to go to the club. Put me in a place where I could dance.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I connected with my mom in that place, and it was like, I felt like she was happy for me.
Yeah.
And there was a connection that I felt that I didn't feel, and I cried in the club.
No, you got to. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out.
Because I literally connected with her. And so I think it's very important for us to smile when we cry. Like, it's okay. It's okay to feel both emotions at the same time. Yeah. Like, you know, and it's important to know that you're not the only one who has felt that.
Yes.
You know,
even in the club.
In the club.
Even in the club.
Now, my mom would have been like, nah, Keisha, you should not be there. Okay? But I know she was happy that I was dancing because that's something we both enjoy doing. And it was the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was what would you say, like right now on your journey, on the other side of that, what is one thing that you would leave people who are grieving their loss of their parents? I would say parent because we could relate a little bit more with it, but lost in general. What will be one thing that you will leave people with?
Oh man. I would say give yourself grace. Don't try to force like your journey. You know, don't try to make it go faster than what it needs to, because it gets lonely. It definitely gets lonely. Because sometimes I know I felt like I was grieving by myself. You know, even though I had my brother, my family members, my dad, like everybody was, but we were all grieving in silos. So it was like, it felt like we were all grieving separately by ourselves, you know. So I had to give myself grace on like what my journey looked like, because I didn't have anything to compare it or, you know, whatever to. Give yourself grace. And you know, don't try to make your journey someone else's journey. Do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to get through. Do healthy things to get from day to day, moment to moment. You know. So.
And I think it's also important to add on what he's saying. Even if you need to find you a therapist, so professional help that can help you with that. Like finding a way of how to cope and navigate through grief, because we're not professionals, right, in that area. However, we're just giving you experiences, but I do understand that everybody may not be able to have that to go through how we went through. Some people may need professional help, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely,
you know,
nothing wrong with
I've had it before. A lot of people have had professional help before, so there's nothing wrong with that. And then my last thing, Chris, I want you to just talk to the men that may be on live right now, and basically just I just want you to come from a place of encouragement in the place of relatability. As for, I don't know how men do that because I don't want to make it mushy, okay?
No.
But
Look,
Men, make it manly as
yeah,
far as
we have
like
emotions.
dealing with emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I think it's important to friendship and relationships are really big. So to all my other men out there who may be going through things, you need to let that out. I know you may not feel comfortable going to a professional,
Mhm.
but if you can sit down and just have a genuine conversation with another one of your male friends, I think that also helps. Because if you feel it's I know sometimes we want to avoid to get away. We go with our friends to get away from our problems sometimes, right? But I think I think the thing is we need to utilize our friends for what friends are really for, which is to be there even when, in times of good and bad. And if your friends can't do that, then you might want to, if they can't have that serious conversation, to at least say, man, I know how you feel, because y'all may be going through different things at the same time and can relate to each other. So definitely start expressing yourself and being like, hey man, I just need to talk, like, and it don't have to get emotional and mushy and all that kind of stuff, but literally using your friends for what they're for, have the conversation and be able to have somebody that you can confide in.
I love that.
Hmm.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Chris. I really wanted to get that ending part because I thought that was like one of the most important parts as far as like the encouragement, for people to um keep going, right? Because life is all about keep
Yeah,
going. It's all about keep moving, pushing through,
yeah,
because we got work to do. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I'm so privileged and I'm so honored to know
uh,
you. I don't know you deep, but I know you, and
yeah,
so for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that you accepted and took the time out to come on here and just to share your journey. And I'm happy for you right now in this healing process that you're in. Like, this is another level of healing, and
yeah,
so to be able to come on a platform and talk about it and not feel the emotions that you felt
yeah,
before in the past is a
yeah.
beautiful thing. And so blessings to you and your
Thank you,
business and
my friend.
everything you're doing, baby.
Same
If
to
y'all ain't
you.
following Chris, follow Chris. He's an event planner. He's in Utah, but I'm sure he will travel
I still
or
do work in Louisiana,
and
folks.
he still do work in Louisiana. So support my guy. And thank y'all. I hope y'all tune in next week. We got a special guest next week for episode 3. We're gonna be talking about. I ain't gonna tell y'all what we're talking about.
Oh,
Just tune
let them
in,
tune
okay?
in, Keish.
Yeah, let us tune in. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Keisha.
Thank you.